All right, we're back. Thanks for sticking around with us. Let's chat about some news and notes. Let's start around the world, actually. We got a little bit of rumors for player movement. We're looking at reporting from Amanda Zaza with multiple sources saying that Magdalena Eriksson and Pernell Harder have signed a deal with Bayern Munich and are expected to join when their Chelsea contracts expire. So, a little bit of early rumblings about the band maybe breaking up a little bit. Chelsea, I don't know. We'll see. Tough. I think if you're a Chelsea fan looking at news like that, tough considering we actually just talked about this news not too long ago. It was an injury update to Fran Kirby. Um, she made the announcement that not only is she going to miss out on the remainder of Chelsea season with a significant injury, but also the World Cup. And now maybe you're a fan of Chelsea and you're saying, hold on a second here, two more players. Yeah, especially if we're coming off of the Champions League performances that we saw from Ericsson for this Blues team. I think maybe a little bit of a tough pill to swallow, but nothing. I haven't seen anything official drop yet in terms of an announcement from Bayern or anything like that. But it would definitely be a return to the Frauen Bundesliga for Harder, who previously played with Wolfsburg. So maybe also some like interesting like club dynamics there
Right.
going
So
to a
there's
rivalry team.
the news is like rumors, right, at this point, and that's I like talking about them. There's also with these two players, a little bit of rumor about like Real Madrid and maybe even Angel
Yeah,
City having a little
yeah.
bit of interest in these players. Can you
They're great
imagine?
players. I think
Yeah.
every coach.
But could you imagine if they came to the NWSL, played with Angel City? I don't think that's gonna happen, but could you imagine the
Of course I
chaos?
could imagine.
It'd be
That would
amazing.
be awesome.
It
Like, of
would
course
be
I can imagine it.
amazing.
That would be awesome. Yeah, no, I think obviously stay tuned, right?
Right.
To see if not just one, but both sort of make their pivot out of there. But we wanted to definitely touch on it just just in case some other breaking news came right after that. But we'll definitely take a look. And of course we're trying to keep our eyes and ears close on any potential announcements that might even come along in the BSL side. I know we talked about how the transfer window had closed already. I think it was now 2 Thursdays ago at this point, and just because it closed doesn't mean that the announcements will stop, coming. But this one was on the timeline. So we definitely wanted to chat a little bit about it on the news and notes portion of this episode. We also want to talk about NWSL, of course, even though it's not the player movement that folks are looking for or looking at. But we want to chat a little bit about Jessica Berman chatting with the Washington Post. And we talked about expansion, it feels like forever on Attacking Third. And we got to talk about the introduction, the reintroduction of Utah Royals. We got to celebrate the announcement of the Bay Area finally getting awarded an expansion side. But even in between all that, Lisa, even before those official releases and statements came down the pipeline, I just feel like there were multiple episodes that we can go back on and talk about all and pluck out kind of all of the expansion news chatter that we have been going over the better part of the last year or so, really.
Yeah, there has been so much expansion news and chatter because as people who are joining us weekly, tri-weekly here know that it started as just a very small league in 2013, and it has now grown most recently to 12 teams at the start of the 2022 season, with Angel City and San Diego joining the NWSL. And it was recently announced that the Utah Royals would return back to the league. As team number 13 in 2024. And then another recent announcement that the 14th team in the NWSL also joining in 2024 would be the Bay Area around San Francisco in California. So that's 14 teams by January, right, doing the draft of 2024, the college draft, and then starting preseason. It just a little under a year from now, that's to come. And now Jessica Berman, commissioner for the NWSL, coming out and saying officially that there is a number 16 as their goal, to get to 16 NWSL clubs by 2026. And that's the first time that she's really like officially
Yeah.
said, like, this is our goal and this is what's going to happen. There's been a lot of alluding to 16 being that perfect number that they're trying to get to. And the other side of it is there has been tremendous interest from USLW leagues to cities to ownership groups saying, we want a part of this. We want a piece of the NWSL. We want to be part of the incredible growth of women's soccer in the United States. And then the league had to look at these hundreds of applicants, narrow it down to say which ones have the financial support to actually make this happen, which ones have the geographical support to make this happen. Are they going to get fans in their stands? Do they have an area, a training facility, locker rooms, practice fields, stadiums for these teams to play in? Is there like a suitable plan, like a pitch deck for these clubs to come about? And a lot of them were not as maybe serious as the league would have hoped, so that it narrows it down. But still, I think she said there was ultimately 10 the final round to come down to, and they were able to choose 4 of the 10 to come out with teams at this point, saying that we want 16. So to grow the league from 12 to 16 in just a matter of 4 years is fantastic. That means, Sandra, that means off-season expansion drafts doubles, right, for both year, because we're going to get 2 in 2024. We'll get 2 more in 2026. Means new opportunities for Challenge Cup growth, if that's a possibility, for NWSL championship locations to change up and get a little bit more there.
Yeah.
Perhaps more opportunities for live attacking third shows around the country. We'll see. But I like this. I like that there's officially a number and a timeline on it.
Love to be on tour. Yet, I think expansion has been a phrase that's been part of Berman's very short tenure so far. Um, Look, when she was named as NWSL commissioner, and they said that she would be hired on a 4-year contract with the league in the role, I feel like that is a word and an idea for the league that just hasn't left since she got here. And I think if we're looking at 2026 and under her first 4 years, with this league, the possibility of adding 4 teams by the time her contract is over, I think that's going to be a huge success for her under her tenure. But I mean,
That's massive.
that's a pretty big deal.
That's a
Considering,
resume builder right there.
yeah, considering where the league was and where it started, because it's not just the fact that it's like these. Here are some more teams for the league, right? It's the valuation of some of these bids that we've heard about moving forward. I mean, specifically with the Bay Area, obviously different. It differs a bit from the reintroduction from Utah Royals because there were a lot of contingencies in place to get them back into the league. But if you are a new expansion city or expansion bid, the valuation there is much different moving forward. And they're trying to weigh all that as well. I mean, and we've heard that. We've heard that even in this most recent announcement with the Bay Area becoming official. I mean, there was a statement or phrasing within that release saying, like, of course the league intends to keep an eye on the future and potential markets. So it's been cool to sort of talk about this in a way where it's not so much just like speculation or prediction, but in a place where it just sort of feels like this is the way and this is going to happen. It's just a matter of when, essentially. So, I mean, we even heard, Boston already as one of these front runners for an extra expansion side, which is, I think, similar to what we were looking at in the window for 2024. I think for a long time it was Utah that were the front runners, and then who was going to be the other team. And within all of that chatter, we heard a lot about Boston and a potential return to that market. So now it's kind of like, well, does 2025 or 2026 at this point mean Boston's going to be one of those teams and then another?
Yeah.
I think it also it gives a little bit of a deadline as well. I think when you've got the commissioner on record, I mean, if Boston is in fact one of these teams that are eager and had a good bid apparently to catch the eye of NWSL for another NWSL team in that market, it buys them a little bit of time, but it also gives them a bit of a deadline to make sure they've got all their ducks in a row
Yeah.
as well. So
2 years can sometimes sound like forever, a really long time away, but when we're talking about such grand plans and growth and investment, um, it's really quick. It's really
yeah,
quick.
yeah,
And even, like, the fact, like, looking back a little bit of history, but the Bay Area, when was that announced, right? It's May 10th right now. That was announced a
yeah.
month and a
It's
half
like a
ago?
month ago.
A month ago?
Yeah,
And they need to have a team, logo, colors, jerseys, practice, training facility, all by
staff,
January.
personnel. It's
All
like
by January.
coach.
Staff, personnel, water bottles, training staff, medical staff, PTs
They need a coach.
by January,
All
right?
of it.
Right by the draft, let's just
Yeah.
say by the draft in January. That way they can start preseason in the middle of February. Like, that is not a lot of time. That is not a lot of time to get things rolling. I mean,
Mm.
Utah, they're in the same position as well, a little bit different. They announced their coach, that they'll have Amy Rodriguez joining the Utah Royals as their head coach, former Utah Royals player in the NWSL, former U.S. women's national team forward. But it's a lot of work. So I thought it was hard starting a podcast. Imagine starting a whole NWSL team, Sandra.
Uh, no, I will not imagine that. I will not. I will not. No,
And
let's have fun with this, Lisa, before
yeah,
we transition to we pivot out of this segment. We do our picks and we make our predictions all the time about the games that we're chatting about on here. But if Boston is in fact
I know.
one of these
I know
market
what you're gonna
cities,
ask me.
where would you like to see an NWSL team next?
So you phrased it as, where would I like to see a team,
Yes.
not where I think a team will be.
Where would you like?
Philadelphia. Philadelphia, yeah. We're gonna
Yeah.
get one in Philly. It's coming back. The Philadelphia Independence was way too long ago. We've missed it. There's rumors about WNBA team coming to Philly too.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if we get WNBA, NWSL? I will be the biggest season ticket holder you will ever imagine.
I would love that. I
I
look
know.
more WNWSL crossover for me. I'm
Yeah.
here for it. Absolutely, 100%. I it's not Philly because gotta root for your friends. If it's not Philly, I would love. I'll just say like a central team in some capacity. Maybe not if it's not like if it's not Midwest specific, that's fine. Maybe South and Central. Look, Atlanta is doing a lot of amazing things with Atlanta United.
Yeah, I could
Soccer.
see that.
I think having a team in that market could be cool. Or
What about
another.
Minnesota? It wasn't Minnesota
Yeah,
Aurora a part of the conversation before? I don't
I
know.
think I think they were curious about putting in a bid and seeing where
Yeah.
it would go from there. And think um I think with a lot of the requirements in place to have ownership structure look a certain way, you've got to have somebody with a specific amount of money and percentage, and essentially to be the face of that franchise. And I think for very local independent teams like that, grassroots coming up from in USL, maybe that is a challenge for them at this time. But that's
Mhm.
not to say in the next decade they'd have time to build up towards something like that. So I don't know if it would come as soon as 2026, but maybe in the future. So peace mode, shouting out Philly. Okay, folks saying that they want to have Philly. Okay, I love all the support you're getting,
Maybe a little
Lisa.
bit of bias, Lucy as well, saying she
Okay,
goes Philly, but,
look at all these folks joining us on
w
YouTube
I
saying
wish it was like
Philly.
a fan vote. Wouldn't that be cool?
I don't know. I'd be a little nervous about that actually. Like, oh yeah, fans get to choose the next expansion city. I don't know. I don't know about all that. No, let's look. You would want not just one but two sort of Eastern teams. I'm like, let's get something central.
I agree. I agree with you on the central for no, no, no. You said where would I like it? Philly, obviously. That's where I'm from. That's where I want to see. I don't think it's going to happen, people. I'm going to be really
Is
honest.
it just Philly though? Is that your all of your like energy is just focused on that?
I mean, that would be great. I don't think that's gonna happen though. Like, realistically, I could see something coming in the Midwest, Colorado, right? There's options there. I think Atlanta is a really good shout, for sure, just looking at, like, the
Yeah.
landscape of the soccer world. I don't think it's coming to Philly yet.
Yeah, no, I would look somewhere central, that would be cool. If Atlanta, I think, is up there for me. I'd really love to see
Mhm.
any interest from them and pivot all of that momentum and all that culture and put that all into a team in a women's team in Atlanta. Um, I don't know. I think St. Louis was fun to see,
Yeah.
and make a road trip out there and see the energy out of that new stadium. Um, but any of those newer teams too, I think those newer MLS teams could be fun ideas. A St. Louis or a Cincinnati or hey, even in Nashville, I think that could be cool too. Considering there's a team in Louisville,
That would be awesome.
they could have some fun in there too. So, like I said, it doesn't have to be Midwest specific. It could just sort of be like central area of the middle of the country and see what happens there. But it's always fun chatting all things expansion, rumors, otherwise. So we'll see.